This is a picture of my Kindle Fire homepage and a book cover of a book by an author friend that I'd like to just introduce, do a few excerpt readings from. You can see here on the Kindle Fire how the books are listed. And what you do is just move them along the carousel that way. Now I'll go inside this book so I can read a little bit from it. Here's how it shows on the, I'm going to do it this way in the little stand. So this is the Kindle Fire, and this book is on Kindle, and I do recommend it very highly. Written by John W. Cassell, who's had 25 years experience in law enforcement and as a prosecutor. And worked in Samoa as well as in New Mexico, and he's retired currently. The title of the book is The Slender Read. And there's something, the foreword, that I'd like to read that I think is very well done and interesting. Let's see, let me show you the... And this is how it looks on the Kindle. I've got the background set to read with black and white print, and it also has a normal either parchment or white page background that can be read with black print. And this is the foreword to The Slender Read by John W. Cassell. It would be hard to devote the best working years of one's life, not to mention the marriage and stomach lining that paid the price, to a system or process without coming away with some very strong feelings about it and its participants. In this regard, I am no different than anyone else, though I am happy to say that the recording of such an outlook, as well as a marshalling of the pertinent facts supporting it, is much too large a task to even begin in a volume of this size. Instead, I think of this volume, as I do all my other works, as an attempt at storytelling calculated by its authenticity to provide meaningful entertainment for the reader, rather than carry across or try everyone's patience with an agenda or point of view. Now, pausing from there, I agree totally. When I'm looking for some entertaining fiction to read, I'm just looking for a good story that has some type of a feel of either authenticity, or if it's about other worlds or other realities that we haven't experienced firsthand, at least it's something that is designed well enough in the author's mind and words that you can get into that reality and live there and experience it to a degree. So it might be something totally foreign from anything you've experienced, totally foreign from anything we've experienced in this world and life, but somehow it has to create a paradigm for the reader to live there, to escape into it. Or otherwise, what's the purpose of reading a story? That's the enthrallment factor to me. And you can have enthralling stories that also carry across or have agendas or points of view that they're attempting. And in essence, most of the fiction that I've read put out by the major publishing houses does go along with a certain political viewpoint. There are parameters within which books are required to exist in order to exist and be published. but I don't want to get into that. So in essence, most books do have an agenda, a point of view, maybe even a cross to carry. But at least if they're entertaining and well written, I sort of put up with agendas and points of view that might be opposite from mine. My views are so opposite from most anyway, and non-politically correct, that I probably wouldn't be able to read anything if I needed to read things that express my point of view. That's why I wrote my fiction. So my fiction does, in a sense, carry across. It does have an agenda and a point of view. But I think it's unique enough. And even though I don't seek this type of fiction, mostly because most points of view and agendas have been repeated and repeated, and then there's nothing new in them. And they're still causing the same problems. It's like Einstein saying about repeating the same thing over and over that doesn't work. Maybe that's his ultimate expression of stupidity. Well, it's possible that something could be repeated over and over and you finally get it right and it finally works. But anyway, his point is well made. And I get tired of reading the same old points of view, the same old agendas. So I decided to write a different one. But I really like the fact that John just wants authenticity, meaningful entertainment. And this book actually does express a lot that people need to know, I think. But it does it in a way. It's very well written. It's a very good story. I don't know what else to say about it at the moment. So I'll finish reading the, let's see, what did he call this? The foreword. So, and I love the way he stated this. Rather than carry across or try anyone's patience with an agenda or point of view. In fact, I can say at the outset of this project that I knew and associated with good cops and bad cops, good lawyers and bad lawyers, and indeed a system that worked as it should, as well as one that did not. There's a lot of wisdom in that statement, I think, and it's also very well said. And that's probably true, should be true, probably with just about everything. But it seems like in books, authors do sometimes try to focus on the parts that don't work, or the things that are bad. But then you have the good in the heroes and the bad in the villains. But anyway, I like this statement. Back into reading the foreword. What I hope the reader finds within these pages are some realistic travails and blessings that one in the position of the characters could expect to find working in the American system of justice in 1981, a year I picked at random, in lieu of any one of the 25 that saw me working as a trial prosecutor. My feelings on the process itself are reserved for other venues, though as anyone knows, things are changing so fast in practically every walk of life nowadays that the well-developed, tested by bitter and happy experience opinions and outlooks that I carried away from my career were likely out of date and irrelevant years before I put pen to paper and created the Slender Reed. So with this in mind, I hope that what will emerge for the reader is a look at some aspects of the system not necessarily encountered in intellectual discussions. Aspects which, while they might to some degree be food for thought, will mainly provide a journey of enjoyment. And that they did. I've read the book, of course, already. He lists the characters, and which is good because he does have a number of people realistically peopling this book in all facets of the judicial system. And of course, I did write a review on Amazon on this book of a very special friend. Chapter 1. Just another lamb to the slaughter. Saturday, February 26, 1981, 4th and Alamo Streets, Eurostia Springs. A carnival atmosphere prevailed on all sides of the Eurostia Springs police station. CNN was there, attracting half the town to shout and wave at the cameras. City police sentinels holding shotguns were posted at the door. The Highway Patrol's tactical response team was there, dressed in black combat gear and body armor, wearing black helmets with visors and carrying assault rifles. Their special weapons support was there as well. Behind the barricade of cars on the west side of the station, one could see a battering ram, several grenade launchers with the telltale blue canisters already loaded, and a flamethrower in the final moments of assembly by an officer wearing a spacesuit, the suit that enabled a man to walk through fire. At the far end of the north side parking lot were the VIP observers. Captain Harold Renfro of the Highway Patrol was watching while he talked into the police radio in his car. He had briefed the TRT earlier, then come on scene to pull out his men who had conducted a loose quarantine of the area for the past 3 days. Also present and standing next to the captain, his eyes riveted on the deadly force that had been mustered by the State Highway Patrol in response to his summons, was Garfield County's Chief Law Enforcement Officer, State's Attorney Edward A. Cranford. His shoulders were stooped from exhaustion, but his face was alive, practically burning with a newfounded self-esteem, something tragically missing from the experienced prosecutor for nearly the last 2 months. But it was back now, the state's attorney riding the crest of exhilaration generated by a noble, courageous assault on the power brokers of corruption, cruelty, and decay. Every lawman has a limit of the despair he can take before he must swallow his gun or start fighting back. For the past 3 days, Cranford was energized with the righteous anger that only someone watching his life's work being flushed down the toilet can know. It hadn't been easy. Lord knows it hadn't been easy. There was a long, lonesome valley he had to walk first, a passage darkened by fear and depression, by self-doubt so formidable he often felt that death was his only way out. No, it hadn't been easy, not at all. The opening minutes of 1981. Probably the biggest advantage a state's attorney had over a moderately successful private attorney was a radio car. Cranford was certain of it. Nothing exorbitant, mind you, just your basic black Ford sedan, certainly not a Cadillac like the governor or lieutenant governor. This was as it should be. After all, there was a state's attorney for each county. It wasn't like there was only 1 or even 5 in the whole state. Not even white wall tires graced this vehicle, with the official plates showing front and rear as it slowly poked its way along snow-packed All Wars Memorial Boulevard in the heart of Eurostia Springs. Not that Eurostia Springs had a heart. The sole occupant of the black law enforcement radio-equipped Ford, Edward Anthony Cranford, had thus far been unable to find one. But then who, where, or what did? The snow had begun 8 hours ago, delivered COD to Eurostia Springs in one of those gale-force storms that would roll off the prairie and dump on the first settlement that got in its way. The storm had since gone about its business, out of respect for all the drunks that planned to turn the area streets and highways into first-class carnage this holiday night. Now the snow was falling gently, peacefully, covering this monument to the wrecked dreams of 3 groups of people with the same white blanket that worked so well in Cranford's Philadelphia youth. The Ford reached the end of the boulevard, the dead end into Topeka Way. Named for the railroad it had once shadowed, this potholed pathway ran west to Main Street, with its courthouse and a few businesses that stubbornly hung on to the once proud downtown location. Alamo Street, with the city police station. Then on past the sprawling Cesar Chavez housing project, further past a trailer park here and there, and the district office of the State Highway Patrol. Past, dismiss. 15% battery remaining on my Kindle Fire, so maybe I should pause here, and we'll see if I can do a reading another time. But I should turn this off, I think. That's a good introduction, though. And this is an excellent book. It reads very rapidly, keeps your attention absolutely, and tells a lot of things that you'll be glad you know. And I hope I'll be glad there's no hope about it. Anybody who reads this book and realizes these facts, maybe hopefully that's the first step to making a few changes. Thanks for listening.